A Florida jury awards an 8-year-old girl $800,000 after she got second-degree burns from a McDonald's chicken nugget. Now, to be basically more frank, and the reality that's probably actually happening is that the mom of this autistic child is going to get $800,000 for pretty much blatantly, pretty likely, like a frivolous lawsuit type of situation, right? So let's get into it. A Florida jury awarded an 8-year-old girl $800,000 in damages after the child suffered second degree burns from a McDonald's chicken nugget 4 years ago. So, when she was 4 years old, according to a local report. In May, a separate jury found the fast food giant and a franchise holder at fault for the scalding hot nugget that burned the leg of little Olivia Caraballo, then 4, after she opened a Happy Meal in the car. After just 2 hours of deliberation Wednesday, the Broward County Grand Jury decided on the dollar amount, which is significantly lower than the $15 million the girl's family had asked for in their lawsuit, NBC6 South Florida reported. Now, to put it frankly, like in terms of like filing a lawsuit against someone, you always ask for a crazy high amount because if it were to get downgraded in some form, you're still probably going to walk away with a good amount of money. And $800,000 ain't bad at all, but also her mom is probably not going to take care of that money basically well at all. It's probably going to be all blown away within like 5 years because this is basically the equivalent of winning the lottery, right? And the sad thing is, if this mom was smart with the money, she could put that money into basically the S&P 500, have it double pretty much every 10 years, and end up having multiple millions of dollars for the whole family, right? And also to make sure that the kid is taken care of for a very long time. Because again, I'm fairly certain that this kid is autistic, and I don't know how severe it is for her, but if she's not really a functioning autistic child, when she gets older, she needs care and she needs like a good amount of money for that. And if the mom doesn't take care of her right and just abuses this money, it's going to be a really bad situation. So Olivia's parents, Filana Holmes and Humberto Caraballo Estevez, sued McDonald's and Florida franchisee Upchurch Foods Incorporated, claiming that the Tamarack restaurant served them unreasonably and dangerously hot nuggets at a scalding 200 degrees. Now, here's the thing: how could you possibly ever know that something was at 200 degrees when you just got the food? So Holmes had ordered a six-piece chicken McNuggets Happy Meal from the drive-thru and handed the box to Olivia in the back seat. The girl dropped one of the red-hot nuggets onto her lap, and it got wedged between her car seat and the leg for roughly 2 minutes, leaving her thigh disfigured and scarred from burns, the lawsuit filed in August 2019 states. Now, what's also kind of interesting to me, right? When you hear this story, like, oh, this mom grabbed the food from McDonald's, probably went through the drive-thru, right? Yep, like I said, drive-thru, handed the box to her daughter, which again, even though it hasn't said it yet, in the original story of this, she handed her 4-year-old autistic child chicken McNuggets to eat. Okay? Think about that for a second. And again, the original story had it where she was an autistic child. So does it make sense for you as a parent to give your autistic kid who's only 4 years old things that they can choke on? No, it doesn't, right? Does it make sense to hand them food that you don't even check? No, it doesn't. Especially when you factor in of her being autistic. Let's see. So the girl's parents said the fast food chain and franchisee owner failed to warn customers about the dangers of the hot food, failed to properly train employees, and cooked the food to a higher degree than necessary. Now, for those that aren't aware, which you should, long time ago, a very, very long time ago, there was another lawsuit done towards McDonald's to one of the franchisees, etc., where a lady burnt herself with a hot coffee. Now, you would think, common sense, oh, I just ordered a hot coffee. Oh, I might get burnt by that. Well, she was like, oh, you guys didn't warn me well enough. And, like, she did technically get, like, pretty severely burned, apparently, inside that lawsuit. It said that, like, she got really, really burnt. But at the same time, it's like, if you order something hot, it's gonna be hot. But also, there's a difference between hot and super hot, like scalding. And the fact that you didn't feel any of this heat after, like when you gave it to your kid, that seems kind of crazy to me. So lawyers for McDonald's argued that the nugget would not have been more than 160 degrees, the temperature the McNuggets are cooked to avoid salmonella poisoning, and was not meant to be pressed against human flesh for more than 2 minutes. Jurors in May found Upchurch Foods Incorporated liable for negligence and failure to warn customers of the risks associated with hot food, and McDonald's liable for failing to provide instructions on the safe handling of its foods. They did not find McDonald's actions to be negligent for the burn incident, however. At least I guess that's good. But also, it's just like, and here's the thing, like, just think about it too, right? So this was pressed against her skin for 2 minutes. What the hell was the mom doing for those 2 minutes that it was pressed against her skin? If this thing is like 200 degrees Fahrenheit, okay, and is pressed against the skin of a 4-year-old, you'd think that there's probably going to be a lot of screaming, right? Probably a lot of crying. And you didn't stop the car, go over there, see what the hell is going on. Like, again, like to me, it just seems so crazy. On Wednesday, Holmes told reporters that she was happy with the jury's decision, despite the lower amount in damages. I'm actually just happy they listened to Olivia's voice and the jury was able to decide a fair judgment. I'm happy with that, Holmes said, according to NBC 6. The case is reminiscent of the infamous 1990s hot coffee lawsuit against the same fast food mammoth. In that case, a New Mexico jury awarded Stella Liebeck, 81, a whopping $2.7 million in punitive damages after a scalding McDonald's coffee emptied on her lap, delivering third-degree burns to her legs, groin, and buttocks. And the woman spent more than a week in the hospital. So, in that case, I believe one of the main reasons why she was actually awarded from it was because just how blatantly overheated that the coffee actually was, to the extent of how much damage it actually did. Which, I mean, if you were to think about it, if she were to just drink that coffee, she could have been completely messed up too. But still, I still think this whole thing is just so insane to me. Let's see. Let's check out some of these comments because I bet you they're going to be probably pretty nuts. Let's see. Anything for free money. Being a responsible parent doesn't come into the equation. Okay. Blaming others for our mistakes, pathetic. We're paying people like this. Guess it's legally impossible for McDonald's to refuse to serve morons. Henceforth, expect your nuggets lukewarm, if not cold. Guaranteed they were offered some type of settlement, but left it to the jury. She'll still come out with 500k nuggets. Gives me an idea with some French fries. Now, the thing is, there's literally people who their whole income stream, like completely, is these like frivolous lawsuits or like some sort of insurance scam, etc. Right? Where they purposely go to places and like trip and fall or slip and fall, and they're like, oh, the floor was wet, but there was no sign. Oh, you guys are like responsible to take care of me, etc., etc. Like, there's just some like, honestly, there's just scumbags that live in this world that are willing to try to do anything for quick and easy money, right? This was the total setup. No way a chicken nugget could have been that hot to cause that kind of burn. That burn was administered before going to McD's, but you have a hard time proving it. 800k is way too excessive. I think 800k is excessive too. So this person says, I found it very hard to believe from the beginning of the story that the nugget was outrageously hot enough to cause a burn. How did it get there? Did she pick it up with her fingers, but her fingers did not get burnt? Doesn't make sense that she dumped the nuggets out on her lap while they were driving. Every parent knows not to hand your child food that's too hot to hold or touch. It's not McDonald's failure, it's a parenting failure. See, like, this is the thing. Like, they got awarded 800k not necessarily because McDonald's is at fault for the burn, but that McDonald's is at fault for not warning people about common sense things. Like, for example, look, this is milk, right? So it's basically like saying that you got this, right? It's like, hey, we're selling this milk, but we have no warning signs that if you just leave the cap unopened to the elements, that is going to go bad, right? Oh my goodness. We're so in trouble for like just not warning people about common sense to just not leave milk out in the open with no container or like it's just so dumb. Like, this is just so dumb. Why did it take the mom 2 minutes to get the nugget out of the seat and away from her skin? Never mind handing it back without checking it first. Exactly. Hmm. What are we coming to? My car was totaled last year. I had no injuries. The woman I hit in front of me after I got hit behind immediately sued. Not a scratch on her. I couldn't sleep at night knowing I was scamming anyone. Yeah, like, the thing is, if there's a will, there's a way. If people know that they could just go into your establishment and then, like, do something shady and potentially get a payout, there's going to be a percentage of the population willing to do it. Right? So, for example, if you knew, like, if, let's just say, like, a million people, right? Actually, no, let's actually make it even less. Let's say 100,000 people knew that there could be a chance to make $1 million by filing a frivolous lawsuit or by potentially just faking a lawsuit blatantly, right? Or creating some sort of scheme for a lawsuit, right? Because they knew that there's a chance that they can make $1 million from it. Now, not all the 100,000 people are going to do it, but let's just say 1% of them, so 1,000 people. That's 1,000 people potentially trying to get $1 million from that lawsuit, right? Like, there's going to be a good amount of people trying it, right? All these, like, physical businesses with these storefronts that are open to the public, there's just so many different instances where something like this can happen, right? Again, you have the people who just slip and fall in your stores. You have people that potentially might get, who knows, like attacked in the store, and then they might sue you for allowing that to happen or like not having enough security in place, etc. Like there's just so many things that could go wrong. And what's crazy, for some reason, is extremely common in fast food places. Like McDonald's and Burger King tend to have like a lot of instances of like pretty violent crime or some sort of shady nonsense going on it over like the dumbest stuff. Like there's been people who have literally destroyed like fast food stores over chicken nuggets, right? Or that they got the wrong order, or that they didn't offer the food anymore because of the time difference. You know, it's like, oh, we're no longer serving breakfast food because it's like 10 p.m., that sort of thing. Like, people are crazy. There's enough people in the world where you just need a small percentage of the population to just be absolutely insane. It's just like, whew. But again, here's the thing. If she is truly, like, given the 800,000, if her family is actually given the 800 like full thousand completely, let's just say is cleared at 800K, they really have to manage this money right, because the reality is this is probably never going to happen again, at least not to this extent, not to this dollar amount. And they could literally set their whole family up for life. They could set their kid up for life. And again, the original story about this was that the child was autistic, and they could really use this money to take care of her. Because I keep on like repeating that the kid is autistic, but it's such a big factor in all this, right? Which is also why I don't even understand how this could even become a thing, because if you have an autistic kid, you'd be way more attentive as to what is going on with your kid. Over under on how many years it would take her to blow through the 550K. Lawyer gets one third. I'd probably have to say all of this money is gone in like 3 years. That's my prediction, personally. If you stumble upon this, feel free to give your thoughts. Just to me personally, from what I've seen in terms of like people who have gotten a lot of money, is usually like a 3 to 5 year time frame after they got a massive amount of money where they are just completely broke, and then sometimes even more where like they might have actually like gone past what they won and is now like in like $1 million in debt. And you actually see this a lot with lottery winners where like they win like $1 million, but they like after 5 years are in debt to like $1.5 million, like something crazy. Curious burn shape. Yeah. Again, feel free to give your thoughts. I just think this is one big frivolous lawsuit that was like played out in a specific way to award the mother this money, not really the kid, but the mother, the parents, because they're just gonna blow through that money.